What up, my freaks? RuinouSinsight here with part 20 of my Total Warhammer 3 modded Belegar Ironhammer campaign. So as we saw last time, the undead continue to prove to be a nuisance as they repeatedly attack Oak and Hammer, though we do continue to manage to see them off. There are still plenty of undead remaining. We have the remnants of Uli von Falkenstein's force right here, or Falkenstein, and he could probably raise dead and get this to be a full stack pretty much instantly. I also believe that the Tempelhof remnants of the Tempelhof army are somewhere around here, because we saw them move out this way, so that's another concern, and we could always get hit at Oakenhammer again. Anyway, in addition to that, Karak Eight was sieged by Belegar Ironhammer, which culminated in the forces from inside trying to sally and defeat him. Obviously, they failed pretty miserably, and we are now able to take Karak Eight and hopefully destroy the Red Teeth for good relatively shortly. I think they have that one lord remaining who should be suffering attrition somewhere in Khorne's territory, and they're at war as well on top of that. In terms of what we gotta do this time, we will be marching towards Misty Mountain as best we can. We have a Queek who's showed up between Spite Peak and the Sump Pit here, and then of course we have to deal with all of this. And I'm not entirely sure how we can, because if we move to Zufbar, most likely Oakenhammer will get attacked because it has basically no garrison. And we could try to summon some Slayers, but they're pretty darn expensive. On the other hand, Zufbar is a fairly well-defended position, and we've already seen the effectiveness of our garrisons before, so maybe we don't necessarily have to move there right now. But anyway, there are a couple battles that we gotta do. First of all, that'll be Queek, so let's try to attack him. You guys can get some points while you're at it. Another point in Rune of Wrath and Ruin is always nice to have, so that's what you're gonna do. And then you, Mr. Thane, are going to get, let's say, probably hard to hit as well. You're gonna need to fight Queek, or at least you're gonna need to hold Queek while we destroy the rest of his army and hopefully force him to rout. So let's get hard to hit on you, like so. And yeah, the rest won't help us here. 50% mass on Rune of Grimnir, I didn't even realize. Alrighty, well, that'll be nice for our Thanes. Then we're gonna have a Recruiter Scav Hogmog be the one to initiate the battle, because as we know, Fimber already has the Vermin Flail buff. So let's try to take this army out. It is still pretty weak, it's just Queek and the Deathglow Bombardiers that need to be our concern here. Now let's move you Scav, like so. Oh, I probably should have put you into an camp stance, there we go. And now he's gonna run, okay, huh. Really? You're gonna run from this? Queeky. Alright, but we are still in range. Too bad we can't put you in camp stance, but oh well. Not a big deal. We're gonna attack like so. And valiant defeat according to this. Okay, but we do have the Rune of Wrath and Ruin and a decent amount of blasting charges. We just have to make sure that those death globes aren't able to fire, because that could clinch the game, or clinch the battle rather, for Queek. Before we get the battle started, however, I just want to briefly remind you guys not to forget to drop those likes and comments below if you've been enjoying this particular Let's Play. As Let's Plays get older, viewership drops and they compete with other Let's Plays and so on, and it is particularly important as your engagement does determine scheduling. I don't really like to do these reminders too often because I'm sure they're extremely annoying, but you know, it's how YouTube works, so here we are. And here we are, here we go to the fight. Let's see if we can see Queek off without having anybody else needing to intervene.
No faffing about!
Alrighty, here we go, man. I can't believe we're on episode 20 and we're still on miners versus Skaven slaves. Granted, we can build better stuff, and I'm sure so can they, at least to some degree, by virtue of the Deathglow Bombardiers, but, well, it's better for both our economies to be using cheaper troops, and the early economy will make for a better late game with the craziness that gets up to. Anyway, we are going to wait until the reinforcements move on to the field. Fortunately, the enemy does not want to move towards us, which means we can take our pick of the battlefield. Now, we've fought here before, so we could try to move all the way out there if we really wanted to. However, I decided to ultimately move either here or here, where these, what do we call these? Little plateaus, little things, I don't know, geological features. Somebody who's smarter than me needs to, that's a low bar. Somebody who knows geological stuff, or this is topographical, I don't know. Those things, we can use those, but we also have an impassable terrain in the form of these camp things here, so we're going to make use of those. The miners are going to group up, and we're going to have our 3 heroes and a single unit of miners within the formation, while our grudge throwers annoy the enemy. Now, this one unit of miners with blasting charges will be kept back specifically to throw their blasting charges over our other miners once said other miners are engaged. And then, of course, once those engaged miners are ready, we will, once we run out of ammunition, switch them out, and then the other one will simply chuck their remaining blasting charges, and this way, hopefully, we can use them all. Looks like the enemy has been sufficiently annoyed, or at least their Skaven slave slingers have been, by our grudge throwers, so we're going to move those back so that they don't get hit, and counter with our own grudge throwers, with our own miners here. I'm going to take a few hits from the enemy's Skaven slave slingers, and that should be damaging here. We do want to get rid of these, as they are more threatening than the enemy clan rats and Skaven slaves without slings are. Pretty important to get rid of the enemy range. And there we go, blasting charges away. Alrighty, unfortunately these Skaven slave slingers have fairly loose formations, which means it takes a little bit of effort to knock them down with the blasting charges, probably more so than a blobbed up set of enemy Skaven slaves, non-slingers, or clan rats, but that's okay. 2 of those units are basically done, and then 2 more units coming in, and we're gonna chuck our blasting charges at them as well. The enemy, I think, is making a huge mistake by committing these guys here. They can at least overwhelm us with melee while the slingers get to work. The slingers could have, over time, perhaps even destroyed our grudge thrower, or at the very least, very badly damaged our miners. But alas, the AI is not known for its tactical acumen in this particular situation. There we go, more blasting charges away, and soon both of these other 2 units of Skaven slave slingers will be out, and then we will only have melee to contend with. Our grudge thrower is also firing, however, it is not going to be firing at the Skaven slaves or clan rats, or at least it will not be doing so for long. Instead, we will have it focus down the enemy death globes here. In particular, what we want is for this grudge thrower to continuously fire at these guys and keep them from joining the battle. If they keep running around trying to dodge the grudge thrower shots, they're not firing on us. And if they move forward, they will get hit and therefore damaged. So they're kind of screwed either way. Meanwhile, the rest of the clan rats will move towards us. We're going to contract our lines and go back to where we started here. I'll wait for the enemy to arrive and then start fighting some clan rats. Clan rats aplenty, though we do have 2 level 2 Runes of Wrath and Ruin available to us. There we go, here come the blasting charges once more. And somehow, unless Queek makes something crazy happen, I doubt that this is going to be a valiant defeat. Alrighty, lots and lots of clan rats, but hey, let them blob up, that'll just mean more clan rats to explode with our runes. And there we go, and over in the background we can see those death globes are now at half HP, and they're still running around, accomplishing nothing but dodging grudge thrower shots, and not even every grudge thrower shots, considering they've taken half of their HP and damage already. First of the Rune of Wrath and Ruin's gonna come down in the middle of this formation, there we go. Like a vent to the magma below. Quite a nice shot, actually. And that probably damaged the enemy pretty heavily. Looks like it basically shattered, or at least broke 2 units and halved another one. We've also got more blasting charges moving in. There we go. These poor clan rats. By the looks of it, this is a pretty good map to fight on. We fought here before, and clearly it's pretty darn effective. Blasting charge is going to continue ripping those enemies apart. The second Rune of Wrath and Ruin absolutely ripping 3 units apart, and the balance of power is now suddenly in our favor. Queek has not yet joined the battle, and I'm sure a few more of those clan rats will return to the fray. But honestly, they're going to be so badly damaged that it's probably not going to achieve too much. Here comes Queek, a little bit late, buddy. You're known for leading from the front. But I guess at the very least he'll be fighting by himself. So still pretty brave for a Skaven. And there we go, surrounded by miners, and here comes the first of the Rune Lords. The second one's moving in, and so is the Thane. Everybody focus Queek down, and as soon as he's done, the battle will be completely ours. Another unit of Clan Rats moves in to try to reinforce, but our unit of miners that was kept in the back, that was actually about to ready to be swapped out, still has just enough ammunition to see those poor Clan Rats off. Beautiful. Queek is now down by about 25% HP, though we've taken a little bit of damage on our Rune Lord and our Thane already. Fortunately, the rest of the enemy army is just running away. Queek's fighting alone. His death globes are not coming in. They're still trying in vain to dodge those grudge thrower shots. Alright, Queek, it's your show, buddy. Either you beat us, or you fail and die here. And it looks like with that, Queek shatters, and the battle is ours. He certainly did some damage, though. These guys were completely unharmed before they fought him. So good job to him, nonetheless. I take it he has Dwarf Gouger and the Warp Shard armor, rather, yeah. Because the AI cheats. Wait, he has Skaven... I don't see Dwarf Gouger. Huh. Well, I guess he ain't gouging dwarfs today. Odd, I thought that the AI always got those. Maybe it's it just reaches the level requisite to unlock the quest, and that's when it gets those, not immediately. I assume that's how it works. Well, either way, we're gonna speed this up. It looks like those death globes are in extremely bad shape, down to only 5 units here. I don't know whether that's enough for them to survive 5 out of 35. I guess we'll find out. A very low HP as well. We're also going to chase down and kill Queek. Granted, we maybe could have kept him alive so we could get a Vermin Flail on somebody else, and I a little bit maybe regret killing him here, but either way. A heroic victory for our miners, who got very, very little damage on them and managed to hold off all those Skaven hordes, and 'twas fun using all those blasting charges, wasn't it? Well, there we go. Not too bad at all. A lovely little preview of what Fimber Ironhammer's army will eventually look like, as this is going to be our explosives army, i.e. miners, iron breakers, trollhammer torpedoes, maybe some thunderers in there as well to function as range, and then those outriders that we've been building as well. Should be a pretty fun one. Queek also lost both himself and the Death Globe Bombardiers, which is great. Our artillery piece didn't really contribute to the rest of the fight, but by keeping that one unit away for the entire battle, it allowed the miners to do everything they did completely unharmed. Also, I just want to point out that Queek halved the HP on this Thane and this Lord while being attacked by all 3 simultaneously and surrounded by miners and attacked by them as well. What a monster. Well done, Queek. We're all proud of our Queek. I mean, I didn't say that because it's a dwarf campaign. But anyway, let's execute and loot, I guess. We probably don't get too much value out of Drink to Victory, at least in this particular territory. And, yeah, it's the Oath Gold that we want. There's still so many things that we need to make out of Oath Gold, and 100 Oath Gold is pretty darn decent. Alrighty, and, oh, the army actually gets fully destroyed. Oh, well, that's just swell. And what is this? Muddled Mines? Are you kidding me? Okay, so I just wanna point this out. So a village who is all the way up here, nowhere near us, and fighting a bunch of Cathans here, decided to muddle the minds of us here. Also, how could he even see us? This is just the AI cheating, isn't it? Because, well, I guess it could have revealed. Wait, does Village have the reveal shroud thing that Kairos does? Wow. That's a little obnoxious, I gotta say. It didn't really change anything there, but nonetheless. And we have 3 turns of the loss of campaign movement range. A little bit annoying. Oh well. Now, before we move forward with the other stuff that we have to do, there were a couple of things I wanted to address or do comment-wise. First of all, Karak Kavzar, not being a Karak, you are going to be renamed to Kazad Kavzar instead. And there we go. Because it isn't a mountain hold, so this makes more sense. And thank you for the suggestion. And in addition to that, as somebody pointed out, we also have just a ton of stonemasons available throughout our ancillaries. So what we can do is start popping stonemasons everywhere that we don't currently have them. So, ancillaries, let's take a look at stonemasons. Yeah, we got at least 6 to put around. Yeah, you, 1... Next up, you, yes. And anybody we delete, we can just take their stonemason back. No stonemason for you, you. Ah, there we go, another one. Although Recruiter Scaff Mahogmogs, actually, you know what, not Scaff, because he's gonna be gone in a second. Get Gold, Alaric, yeah, you can have one. You. Kazaran, we're gonna delete you shortly, but maybe for now, hold on to one. Can't hurt. Alkanhaf, sure. And I think that's it, right? We actually don't have one on Retinue here, but we'll do that. Oh, actually, we could put one on Retinue if we wanted to. Retinue or you? You know what, let's put it on Mr. Gilbert. In fact, speaking of Gilbert, are you able to move into our own territory? Yes, you are, so go here. And stonemason, is it for all buildings? It is for all buildings, so we can construct some buildings here. Oh, lovely. Alrighty, thanks for the reminder for that as well. Now, Halkenhaf, you are going to move into Kradtomen to defend it, whereas Belegar, you are going to move towards Misty Mountain. Let's see, we could jump via Underway. Nah, we're going to go March Stance. I'd really prefer not to have to move waste 2 turns with Belegar, so let's go here, as close as we can get. And hopefully we can siege the capital of Clan Moors next turn. Would be really nice to finally get this menace, or nuisance in some ways, gone. Though unfortunately with Queek dead, we don't get Vermin Flail. And it's a pretty darn nice, buff. Maybe what we'll do is we'll take out Misty Mountain and then sack Desolation of Nagash once or twice until Queek comes back. Then we can move on and take Nagashazar. And well, actually not Bitter Bay, but at the very least Nagashazar, which should be a pretty darn decent battle for Belegar, and should be a toughie as well. But yeah, I really want that Vermin Flail. Alrighty, actually, speaking of Vermin Flail... is this the only 2 territories that Queek has? Let's double check here. Yeah, it is. Okay, so there will be no other way to acquire that buff. Alrighty, next up, Karak Eight Peaks, finally going to Tier 3, which will mean as soon as that's done, we get that recovered Underhalls built, and then we suddenly have access to Iron Drakes of both varieties, Bugman's Rangers, Thunderers of the Grudge Raker, and regular variety, as well as Longbeards. Been a while, but it'll be nice to have these. And then we might as well build this goat herd here. Granary... Yeah, why not? And we do need the growth as much as we can get at Karak Eight Peaks. And let's delete this Trinket Maker for now. We'll replace it with a mine. A deep mine, that is. Yeah. Alrighty, the rest of this is fine for now, so do you still need Empower the Guilds? Could have actually reduced that further by popping the Masters of Steel and Stone, but we can wait until this is ready to be built, although it's so cheap right now that it probably doesn't make much of a difference either way. Otherwise we're fine. Gradnar, you, my friend, are going to jump right here. You're going to be transferring your stuff to Fimber, who can't actually get to you right now, but that's okay. So, you can also delete your regular miners, the ones that lack the blasting charges, as they won't fit in this army. And Scaff, can you transfer? You cannot transfer, okay. Well, let's take your stuff then. Like so. And... wait, I did that the wrong way. My bad, like so. There we go. And then you can probably not stick around right now. I'm not sure whether we could get attacked at Sump Pit, but once this army is ready to go, we should be good. Let's just start building the garrison here. Ooh, wait. Where are you currently? You're currently in Dringo Karaz. No, you know what, let's wait one turn for Gradnar to get here, especially with these guys, because they will reduce the cost of getting the upgrade here pretty significantly. We can also temporarily delete this Trinket Maker, but we'll replace it later on, I'm sure, but we will need defenses here. Alrighty, Scaff, you are out. You do not have a Stone Mason, and we are not paying 400 for you right now, so goodbye. There we go, 3-3-3-3. And everything else looks pretty good. Alrighty, next up we have this situation that we have to figure out. So I'm thinking we allow Ornery Backslider to siege here for a turn. Here's what we do. We take you, Mr. Alaric, and we swap you around with Cazador, like so. Cazador, you are going to recruit 4 more rangers with great weapons, with their 3 axes. And we're going to put those into Alaric's army afterwards. For now, we're going to take Alaric, we're going to pop him into ambush stance right here. And if anybody attacks Oakenhammer, hopefully they will get destroyed by virtue of Alaric coming in as a reinforcement, i.e. any of these undead armies. If they don't, we should be close enough next turn to attack Ornery Backslider with Alaric, while Cazador remains here with the remnants of these rangers to defend Oakenhammer. I think that should work out pretty nicely. And I really like the idea of this army being just an all-axe, no-shield army, so lots of rangers with great weapons and their short-range throwing axes, and their very short-range great axes, in combination with a bunch of slayers who are going to get in there as well, all led by Cazador Dragonslayer. So we'll probably get the... well, they're ludicrously expensive right now, but we'll start slowly building up rangers. Maybe we'll do some dwarf warriors for now, and then slowly replace them with rangers over time. That might be the way to go. I don't want to do like a full nothing but rangers army though, because that will be the purview of Karak Drin and Ungrim the Slayer King. Anyway, you guys are ready. Alaric, you are good as you are. We should probably assign some of these points before I forget. You can get Mason, and you're not the only constructor. Constructor Furrowbrow. You too can get Mason. There we go. Alright, does anybody else need points right now? There is still potentially the attack on Tobaro, but let's do a little bit of admin before we head into that, because we just had a fight. Let's see. Constructor Morgrimel, we've assigned your skill points. Alaric, I don't think you benefit from getting any skill points right now, especially because we're not sure which kind of army you're going to have, so stay as you are. Gradnar. So these two are just here as constructors. Actually, Brock Whitebeard will be deleted at some point, though not right now. And this Thane is here for the exact same purpose, Ancestral Blood, Grogny, construction cost reduction, but we'll need to keep them around these territories because Karak Eight Peaks and Karak Draj will both have very expensive stuff to build. That said, I was about to say maybe we start moving them now, but maybe no, we want to build the defenses here first, then we'll move to Karak Draj. Alrighty, so you guys have figured out what you need to do. Let's do some building. Alright, provinces. Where do we have critical stuff to be built? So Sumpit we're waiting on. Spite Peak and Dringo Karaz, we are going to swap some of those things up, but not right now because it might get attacked by Rotich. Eastern Border Princes. Ah, okay, Matorka. Let's figure this one out. So first of all, we need defenses at Karak Bufdar, which is why we've been trying to level it up. So you're going to go here. There we go. And then you're going to upgrade defenses at Bufdar. We could probably upgrade the stone bread bakeries. They do have better... doubling up on the garrison, double quarrelers, pretty good. And more growth. We could get another deep mine here. And we could get more timber. We could upgrade... ooh, we should upgrade Xerixil. Yeah, and that'll be basically all the money. I was hoping to move to Matorka as it also needs upgrades, including defenses, but we could do this next round as well. In fact, oh, you're already in Masters of Stone and Steel. So are you. Maybe we hold off on the upgraded Xerixil, but then again, doubling... oh, we can't do that right now either, meaning we no longer need Masters of Stone and Steel. Now let's pop you back into... Venerate the Ancestors for now, just to fix the public order, and then we'll go back down to empower the guilds afterwards. We'll still need the growth here, but at everything being a tier 3 right now, I think we're looking pretty good. Alrighty, any other thing that we can build, or do we save the rest of our money for next turn? By the looks of it, we're saving, which means We need to move on Tobaro. Let's see what the Skaven have here. Yes.
We march.
So, a Pyrrhic victory. They have a couple of 3 Plague Monks units, a Plague Priest as well, with a decent amount of mana. We are still very badly hurt from the last battle, but the clan rats shouldn't be that big of an issue. The 2 Warlords, however, might be a bit of an issue. Is this a minor settlement? No, it isn't. It's a field battle. Okay. Well, that may work for us, or it may not work for us, depending on the kind of army we run into, or the kind of terrain we have to fight on. Otherwise, we don't need the magical attack, so you don't need the Hammer of Karak Eight. Do we need any ancillary banners? No, I think you're good as you are. I mean, I guess we could give you the Master Rune of Groth One Eye from somebody else, but I think we're okay. Any talismans? No. Oh, we could give you the Brass Cleaver, at least temporarily, but then again, you don't have that many melee units. On the other hand, it could certainly help. And there's nobody else that we need to give this to right now. So yeah, you know what? Hold on to the Brass Cleaver. We'll give it to somebody else later on. Maybe one of the ghostly ancestors. And the talisman, I don't believe we have any useful ones. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Alrighty, well, we'll skip that then. It's time to fight, and hopefully this will be the destruction of Clan Skryre for good.
That'll do.
Alrighty, well, we'll see if that will in fact do. Grimly, this should be a fairly tough battle. Gotta remember that we're still pretty badly beat up, and while we have 1 new unit of Dwarf Warriors that is at full HP, all the others are below a third of their HP. Which means we ain't gonna be able to hold the line all that well here. On the bright side, though, we do have 2 artillery pieces, though on the less bright side, the enemy has one of their own, as well as some wolf rats to flank around us, some rat ogres to apply armor piercing, as well as a decent amount of ranged units in the form of gutter runner slingers with poison, mind you, not just the regular kind, so that'll be irritating for our defensive lines. And of course the Plague Monks are unbreakable and do quite a lot of damage, so we shall see. Plus they have 2 Warlords on the field, as well as that Plague Priest who we're going to try to knock down with our Bolt Thrower, but we'll see if that actually manages to succeed. I see the AI behavior hasn't changed in that it wastes its army spawning ability to spawn random rats outside of the battle, but whatever. Alright, and there we go. Our Bolt Throwers will begin annoying this single unit of rat ogres. Hopefully we can knock a few down. There we go. 1 down, and that did about... so they're at... I guess every single hit is 500 damage exactly. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Even after the reductions, it's exactly 500 damage? Missile strength is 458. Huh. But it's probably due to the model death. It isn't actually exactly 500 damage. Rather, 1,000 damage represents the HP of a single one of the Rat Ogre units. That makes sense. Alrighty. It was suspicious that the enemy would have taken that round of a number. But now we figured it out, or at least I have. Maybe everybody watching had already figured it out as well. So, let's see. Rat Ogres have dropped a little bit, but have only lost 1 model so far, and it looks like the anthill has been kicked, and the enemy is sufficiently annoyed. That is certainly not enough damage onto the Rat Ogres, and something like a little Grom would have probably knocked out half their number already. But oh well, it is a tier 1 artillery piece, the Bolt Thrower, after all, so not all that surprising. Enemy's gonna move some Skaven Slave Slingers in, we're gonna do a little bit of grudge throwing at it. After all, the ranged units should be pretty darn effective against us here, as our Rangers have relatively low armor, even if they do have their shields, and thus can still take an okay amount of damage. You have a 55% block chance as well, so yeah, certainly not enough. Grudge Thrower continues, but this time switching fire to the enemy Plague Monks up here, as they are the most threatening units on the field aside from the enemy Plague Claw catapults. I like how the explosions light up the shadows here, very nice. And here we go, the first of the enemy has nearly reached our lines, and they're just going to waste these units of slingers like that, as they're just going to get hit by our rangers and then immediately scurry away. We're still also firing on the rat ogres on the flanks here, who appear to not want to directly charge our battle lines. Smart move, as I would have told all the rangers to focus them down, rather than allow them to move in. And the bolt thrower continues to fire, but they're still not at half HP, so after all that fire, not doing all that much. The enemy Plague Claw, however, is now firing as well, finding its range currently, as it hasn't gotten too many shots in. But we're firing right back with a grudge thrower, so it's only fair. Alright, looks like a decent amount of shots did miss, though. It looks like this one did manage to hit. Ooh, and that was right in the center of our formation. Poor Quarrelers. What do we got here? 1500 damage. Just out of curiosity, what's the damage on the other artillery pieces currently? So the bolt throwers have done 7.4k. It's actually not too horrible. And the grudge throwers have... those are rangers. The grudge throwers have 135 kills and 13k damage, so twice as much as the bolt throwers, and more than 10 times the kills, but, you know, that makes sense because they weren't firing on low model units. Anyway, here comes the Plague Monks, here come the Plague Monks, who are going to get targeted by our Rangers. They are absolutely critical to try to lower their numbers before they get to us. Otherwise, the enemy is flanking around us with a fairly decent pile of units, actually. The Wolf Rats, a single unit of Gutter Runner Slingers to fire down from this little plateau, as well as a fairly large pile of Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves, which should very much be concerning. At least the Rat Ogres should probably die fairly quickly, and this one unit of Plague Monks will be spent by the time they reach our battle lines, but the battle is still very much in the enemy's favor. I'm gonna have to be careful here. On the bright side, we do have these pseudo walls on our side, so at least the enemy can't go too much around our flanks, though they clearly will, as they have on this side, and it does look like the Wolf Rats, if you can see them in this absolute dark part of the map, are kind of ripping apart our Rangers. Fortunately, we do have another unit of Dwarf Warriors, which we've been keeping back just for the purpose of helping out the flanks, and it's also a very badly damaged unit of Dwarf Warriors, so probably not going to get a better place to send it. They wouldn't survive the front line. Speaking of the front line, the enemies have arrived. The Rat Ogres are charging in, and it looks like they will move towards our Rangers, though they're being focused down and are heavily damaged enough so that they should rout shortly. Wavering already. Although they have done a little bit of damage. But now they're out. Lovely, just don't let them come back. The rest of the enemies are arriving, and a tiny amount of Dwarf Warriors are holding back a massive Vermintide, but we've seen that a lot throughout this campaign, and it does feel lorefully accurate as well. The first of our Assault of Stone is going to come down on the flanks, as we really need it applied there. Granted, there's more units on the front lines, but we don't have our own... we don't have enough of our own units protecting our flanks here, so we really needed those numbers reduced. Just out of curiosity, let's see the damage on that. 253 and close to 24k damage from a single use of Assault of Stone. Pretty darn good. It's a very good item, and I hope we can somehow acquire more. I wonder if the dwarfs can get the scroll of Assault of Stone. I know that it exists, but I don't know whether dwarfs have access to it. Which would be swell. Especially during tunnel fighting, I feel like the dwarfs would absolutely have the knowledge to, like, collapse the ceiling on certain portions of enemy armies. So it would make sense to some degree. A little bit less so, perhaps, out of a clear sky, though. Alrighty, well, balance of power is still in the enemy's favor, but slightly crept forward. We are still taking quite a bit of damage from the enemy catapults as well, who have taken 43 dwarfs out and have 11,000 damage as well. Our own grudge throwers have actually turned around and are working on the enemy plague monks and clan rats that are over on this side, mostly because it's the most numerous pile of enemies, and that they have seen off one of our units of rangers who have routed. Definitely got to be careful there. I do wish this shadow wasn't there to block off the view, but oh well. Ooh, a very nice shot from those plague claws. and we're slowly starting to run out of number. Ooh, there's a rune of flight coming in, going through the enemy lines there. We are slowly starting to run out of dwarf warriors, is what I was getting at. But granted, the enemy is slowly starting to run out of clan rats that are still willing to fight. Here comes another assault of stone to make sure we reduce those numbers further. There we go, very, very nice. That spell's been really helping us out, and it looks like that's clan rat unit and that second clan rat unit are done. And not a moment too soon, as these dwarf warriors are down to 22 and almost a sliver of HP. With that, the balance of power actually does shift in our favor. The enemy's lost more than half of their army, though to be fair, we've lost more than half of our own. Actually, nearly even in some ways, though the shattering units are not looking so great for the enemy. There's still clan rats fighting in the center, as well as the enemy warlord here, and these plague monks. And I do believe there was another warlord out here, but we are going to snipe him with our bolt thrower, together with several of our units of rangers. There we go. Altogether, they do damage pretty fast. And I also want to mention, because I didn't focus on this earlier, the bolt thrower also did snipe, together with one of the units of rangers, the enemy caster, who was somewhere out here and died before he reached our battle lines, though we did see several uses of pestilent breath, so yeah, we couldn't kill him before he got to our lines, but at least we did something. On the bright side, though, it looks like the last of the enemies are not so willing to fight. The plague monks maybe, but the warlord will, in fact, chain rout, or the warlord will rout, and so will the rest of the army. There we go, a Pyrrhic victory, and quite a close one, as a lot of our range units did have to fight, and we took quite a bit of damage from that plague claw. I was thinking about deploying a single unit of rangers to move around the enemy and attack the plague claw so that they couldn't do anything, mostly because our artillery pieces, the types that we have, are not very good at taking plague claws out, as we've encountered through various other battles. However, I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because if I had sent a unit of rangers out here, they would have encountered that unit of wolf rats, as well as several units of clan rats, and would have been just overwhelmed and destroyed. So that wouldn't have worked, and I'm glad that I didn't do it. I suppose I could have tried it from the other side, but frankly, considering how slow dwarfs, even rangers, move, they probably would have taken the entire battle to have reached the plague claws, and that's an entire battle that the rangers wouldn't have been contributing to the fight. Anyway, as long as it works, and as long as Skryre is done for good, let's find out. Ooh, alright, well, we did have to sacrifice 2 units of dwarf warriors for it, but the last of Clan Skryre's forces have finally been destroyed. Let's see, we got 45k damage on our grudge thrower, though they were down to 2 due to fire from the enemy plague claws, which got 20k damage of their own. 13k on the bolt throwers, which is, well, it is better than a couple of the ranged units, but to be fair, a decent amount of the ranged units were also engaged in melee combat, which they probably shouldn't have been doing. Nonetheless, at least it's enough to keep this thing in this army. Now, let's see if this fully destroys the faction. And yes, their heroes have disappeared, Clan Skryre destroyed, their workshops have fallen silent, and this threat to basically the entire world is finally eradicated for good. Beautiful. Well done to Grimly. He has certainly pulled it off after taking both Skavenblight and Tobaro now to destroy them. We will probably still try to move him to Montenas, though, I mean, we'll probably need to build up a few troops in order to take it. We could do global recruitment if we wanted to. Or we could just move here for a turn and move. It really depends on if there's a full stack there or not. If there's no full stack, if Morgar is busy somewhere, and his balance of power suggests that he does have a stack, or at least part of a stack around somewhere, but it's weak. which means that we may have an opportunity to destroy his faction as well, which would be just fantastic. And then we could settle all of these places and get iron, spices, and wine on top of 3 extra ports. Granted, they would be vulnerable to attack from various other locations by other enemies, but nonetheless, these are pretty rich provinces that would be great to have for ourselves. Unfortunately, we're going to see if we can do that next time, as we are once more out of time, and I think this is a pretty good place to call it. In addition to that, we'll try to figure out what we can do about the undead and the orky situation. Really, we need to try to focus on moving towards Grand Peak, because if we take it, perhaps we can hold a little bit easier, as we won't have to worry about getting attacked from both sides. We also obviously need to get the walls up at Oakenhammer, but that's going to take some time. Maybe Cazador can defend, maybe he can't, maybe this ambush will succeed. Find out next time. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.